Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. And well, let's see outside. Yeah, I guess we're at the very first inkling of dawn, 5:55 a.m. Central Standard Time, United States of America, Louisiana. This is Kentucky Gold, Kentucky blended whiskey with natural flavors and caramel color. Nothing unusual there because probably most of your Kentucky blended whiskey is going to have natural flavor and caramel color. 80 proof, standard proof for American whiskey. Not much left. I got this half size bottle for $1.99 at International Market. And then I went back there and they didn't have any more. I should have bought two, but oh well, I did not. However, on the other hand, I do think I can find a full size glass bottle. And I might check on that today. I know there's the camera stand back there. It looks bad. I was going to put it away, but I just didn't get around to it. See, that's what I use tripod to hold up my camera. I'll put that up in a way later. Introduced in 1956 by a company called Senna, and then it showed on the trademark situation. It showed that it expired in 1992. I think the company went out of business. Then it shows on a second thing that Kentucky Gold's trademark was reinstituted in 1992 by Heaven Hill. This may not be produced anymore. It's not on their website right now, which may not mean much, but it was listed before. I think Heaven Hill simply waited till the trademark expired and they just claimed it. There you go. Technically it's not a whiskey, it's a distilled spirit specialty because they don't list the blend ratio. And they probably exceed the 2.5% by volume flavoring. But it's going to be in the whiskey section. And for all practical purposes, it's going to be regarded as such, since the label says. But now if it's a distilled spirit specialty, on the other hand, it does have to tell you if they're adding flavoring and what type, meaning natural or artificial. This is natural flavoring, probably vanilla. And they have to tell you if they're adding coloring. But they don't have to put the blend ratio because it's not technically a whiskey. It's a Kentucky blended whiskey with natural flavors. That's a very fine technical point, but that is what it is. Okay, here's Bankers Club blended whiskey. Extra fine American blended whiskey. Somewhere in America. This is produced somewhere in America. We don't know. But we do know it's 80% grain neutral spirits and 20% straight whiskey. And we do know that it's aged at least 3 years. Not the grain neutral spirits, those are unaged. Grain distillate, corn distillate, ethanol. But we know the 20% of straight whiskey is 3-year aged. Funny thing about it, though, it's a really strange thing. And I bought this big bottle at Total Wine and More, and I think they still have it over there. Now I think I paid $13.99. That's a very low price. That was the sales price, though. I don't think that's the normal price. The normal price is like $16.99. But I did catch it on sale and I bought it. Okay. Total Wine will run discounts. All right. Funny thing about American blended whiskey, it is also allowed to have flavoring, natural flavor, can't be artificial, and coloring added. And they do not, N-O-T, do not have to disclose the fact on the label. And then it's a mystery. Does this have flavoring or coloring? We don't know. They don't say. But considering the price, you would probably be correct if you said, yeah, it's got flavoring added and coloring. That would probably be the case, but we can't definitively say that. So with the DSS, distilled spirit specialty, in some ways you're getting more information. But like I say, with American blended whiskey, you're allowed to add flavoring. Usually, and if you read the government documents, it says they typically use blending, what they call blending sherry. You say that's a wine, a fortified wine, right? Sherry. You say, well, why would you want to add sherry to a whiskey? Well, to give it some flavor, more flavor, or tweak the flavor. So I'm just telling you what the U.S. government says. That's a normal activity to add blending sherry. Not required, and it doesn't have to be blending sherry. It could be some other flavoring. But I'm saying that's what they said they typically use. In Canada, they used to have a regulation. They don't list it anymore. If you look at the current regulation, nothing about a percentage. But the old regulation was 9.09%. The flavoring could be up to 9.09% of the volume. Now, all the regulations say is they can add flavoring. That's all it says. Natural flavoring. Now, it does specify natural. Okay. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, let's be honest. It's not. It's a neutral. It's morally neutral. In other words, it's not a good thing or a bad thing to add flavoring. It is just. It is a thing. Now, how you perceive it could make a difference. But okay, now the appearance. They're about the same. Amber gold. They look the same. So the appearance won't matter. I'll show you the website for Bankers Club because there is no website for the Kentucky Gold. Laird and Company. They're in Scobeyville, New Jersey. They're famous for Laird Applejack, which is an apple brandy. They own an apple orchard in Virginia, and they even show that on this website here. And they show photos of how they're harvesting the apples and how they crush them up in this big machine. They show all. And then they distill it and age it and sell it. All kind of apple brandy. Some are a bottle, the cheap one, and then some are $150 a bottle, the really premier. He sells all kind of products, many products, and this is one of the lines that they acquired. They didn't. They acquired a whole company called Kasser Distilling back around 1983, 84, mid 80s, and they brought all the production over to New Jersey. I don't know what they did with the Kasser facility, shut it down and sold it. Bankers Club Gin, Bankers Club Brandy. I have a bottle of that. Wasn't able to find the plastic. Bankers Club Straight Bourbon. Yes, they do sell that at Total Wine, in fact, in the glass bottle. Got too much bourbon now, so I didn't buy it. And the price was fair, definitely. There's a clear and gold. There's a Scotch, which obviously they don't produce, but they're buying it on the market. It's contract that's distilled for them, and they bottle it. And there's a vodka, which they're probably buying from most like Midwest Grain Products, MGP in Indiana, who churns out vodka 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. Just like they do bourbon and high rye whiskey that people buy, and gin, so that people buy commodity gin. All right, so that's all they show you. They just list them, and they do give recipes for cocktails. So that's a nice thing for the company to do. Prosecco Punch, Aviation, Day Breeze, Black Widow, Black Russian, Bloody Mary, and so forth. So they don't have to take the time to do that, but they do. And if I ever go back to that part of New Jersey, I would like to visit the place. Hey, Ron, and it's a family-owned thing. Hey, Ron, have you ever tried mixing vodka and seltzer? No, I haven't. Wesley Elsheimer asked. I never enjoyed that combination. Used to mix orange juice with my vodka. That's a popular thing to do. No, I haven't, honestly. The only thing I've ever mixed with vodka are those cane sugar soda pops that you see me do from time to time on my what I call mix-up videos. Mix-up. The other day, I recorded a video for Crush Strawberry. You know, Orange Crush, now currently called Crush Orange. They changed it because they started adding so many flavors, right? So they got Crush Orange, Crush Grape, Crush Strawberry. And I've got all three of those, Crush Orange, Grape, and Strawberry. I think there's a lot more, but I was only looking for the pure cane sugar soda pops, which are a little bit harder to find. I mean, you can find Crush everywhere. You know, that's so common. Every grocery store in the world sells that probably, but it's always the high fructose corn syrup, which I don't want to mess with that stuff. But to find the pure cane sugar one in the 12-ounce glass bottles, that's a little bit of a chore, but it can be done. And I found it right here in this town. Found the strawberry and the orange right here in this town. And now I see one called Stewart's. Orange cream soda. Orange cream. Another one that Dr. Pepper bought. KDP. Keurig Dr. Pepper. That's the name of the company today. Keurig Dr. Pepper. They bought it. And so the days of independent soda pop companies are coming to an end, it looks like. They bought IBC, Independent Brewers or Independent Bottling Company. Well, they're not independent now. That's why they don't use that name anymore. It's just called IBC. It's just a name. It's just initials. Doesn't mean anything now. Stewart's. Crush. Crush was started in 1911, but it's bought out. Bankers Club. It was independent, bought out by another independent company. Kentucky Gold. Independent, bought out. Well, snatched up out of oblivion by an independent company called Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill is family owned. It's been owned by the same family since 1933 when they were started. Maybe I'll try it with cane sugar if I ever go. That makes a difference. I'm going to tell you, I think, now you might argue, say, nah, it doesn't matter. It's all sweetener, corn syrup, cane sugar. It's all essentially sugar. Yeah, that's true. But I think that the pure cane sugar tastes better. This is me talking. You might not agree. So, but these are both independent companies, what I'm pointing at. They're not owned by some big multinational. Laird, family owned. Heaven Hill, family owned. Wealthy families, obviously, and I'm not jealous of that. My favorite entrepreneurs. I'm a free market. This channel, you've watched this channel long enough. Some of you know it's a free market channel. We push for the free market, free enterprise, a free enterprise channel. All right. This smells like any other American blended whiskey you ever smelled. It just smells like stereotypical whiskey. Like if you gave this to somebody blind and said, what does that smell like? They'd say whiskey, obviously. Would they think it's American more than Irish or Scotch? Almost assuredly. Almost a guarantee they would at least guess the continent. Now they may think it's Canadian or American, and there isn't much difference between those two at all, except for an arbitrary line drawn across the continent. England, Great Britain, and the United States just sat down at a conference table and they took a map and they drew a line. They agreed upon it after a lot of negotiation. It's a true story. Okay. James Ball says, hello from East London. Just gone midday here. Peace to you. Yeah, y'all are ahead of us. 6 hours, I guess. 8 hours. Maybe 7. I don't know. It's a good deal ahead. Yeah, same thing. It smelled like any other American whiskey you ever tried to taste. Okay. Any off aromas? No. Any off flavors? Well, I haven't tasted it yet. I would guess no. Sometimes they can be a little bitey though, you know, like they won't be so smooth when they're cheap. And that's why they're cheap. Okay. And that's why people mix them and they don't drink them at room temperature neat without ice, at least. My main man, Ronald, it's good to have you back, says Chris McCabe. Yeah, I wasn't going very long. I did one last evening when it was getting dark. All right. It's the same old story. I mean, believe me, these things are like repetitive. People make whiskey be much more than it is. You said that can get you in trouble, that comment. Because with some people, whiskey is a religion. I know. They practice that religion. They'll stand in line at 5:30 waiting for that bourbon, boy. Got going to buy this bottle for $65, that one for $90, the other one for $150. They don't go to church. I'm not judging everybody. Some are like truly religious, but you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You get the point. The hobby is their religion. And when religion, you cannot discuss it with them in any kind of sensible way. They fly off the handle. Believe me, I know. I've talked to people that are caught up in it, and you cannot have a reasonable conversation. They go berserk. You say, yeah, but it's like that with beer too, craft beer. I know that. Totally flip out. Over what? A beverage? That's what you flipping out over? A beverage. Okay. Same thing. Maybe a little more wood here, though. Okay, honestly. Okay, so this one has more oak. They're both 80 proof, so 40% alcohol. About the same body, medium, meaning medium body. They both finish pretty dry. They don't linger around. You know, they're not cloying or too sweet, but they're sweet. Now, I mean, whiskey is sweet. I mean, think about this. This stuff is made with corn. You know how sweet corn is. Why do you think they make sugar from it? Why do you think they sweeten all the soda pop with corn syrup? It's sweet. Pancake syrup. It's mostly corn. Or as they say in Europe, maize. If you read the Bible, there's the Bible up there. They talk about corn. I was reading the book of Ruth this week. Ruth. Her mother-in-law was Noemi. Ruth was not even a Hebrew. She was from Moabite land, like a Palestinian, you would call it today. But she was, they said she was out there in the cornfield, picking up the droppings from what the workers left. But I was thinking corn. I'm thinking corn on the cob, you know. Then I realized that's not corn cob she was picking up. That was wheat. But that's what they called it in Europe. Wheat they call corn. And that's why in Europe they'll call it Indian corn or maize when they're talking about what America, because you know the Europeans never heard of that until they came to America with the age of exploration, and the Indians had the corn, you see. And remember when they first arrived in Jamestown, the English said, "What is that stuff?" And the Indians say it's corn, and they made popcorn, and they said, "Do you want salted or movie theater style?" The Indians asked them, "Do you want movie theater style popcorn?" And they were shocked. They couldn't believe it. The English couldn't believe it because they didn't know what a movie theater was. Now, perhaps some of that story is not quite accurate. Briscoe said it's sweet and abundant, correct, and apparently durable and easy to grow, unless it gets fungus on it, you know, that mold and stuff. Okay, would I pay an extra penny one of these? Well, I can't get pennies anymore, I guess, as of later this year when they, but of course, think about how many billions of pennies are in America. You could probably take them out of production for a century and they'd still be everywhere. Would I pay an extra penny one of these versus the other? No way. No way. Absolutely not. I would never pay more for Bankers Club over Kentucky Gold. And that works out because they're about the same price. You wouldn't have to pay more. They're always about the same price. You say, what's that price? Well, about as low as you can find in the store. You say, you mean like McCormick whiskey? Yeah, that's right. Heaven Hill Quality House, Kentucky blended whiskey. Yep, that's you're on the right track. T.W. Samuel's American blended whiskey. Correct. Kentucky Bow. You got it. Now I noticed ancient age blended whiskey with the black label. It was more expensive, but I couldn't understand that. But because it was definitely not better. They tried selling that around here, ancient age with the black label, Kentucky blended whiskey, but nobody bought it, and they took it off the shelves around here. It's gone. I bought a bottle in Baton Rouge. It was $8.99. Now you laugh and say $8.99. That's so low. I know it's low, but I can find these things for $5.99. True story. So why would I pay $3 more? I would not. And I thought the ancient age blended was bitey. That thing will bite you. It'll bite you before you bite it. I know the main ancient age is the Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, the sour mash Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. That's the one you see everywhere. And the thing is, it was about the same price as the blended. So I don't know. Yeah, and another thing, a lot of these blended whiskeys, they cost the same as straight bourbon. So that's the mystery to me. It's like, wouldn't you want straight bourbon as opposed to a blended whiskey? But apparently people many times say no. Because they got followers. They got people who follow this stuff. I see people going into the store and they always buy Canadian Hunter, which is a Canadian blended whiskey, been on the market 41 years. And they're going to buy it every time. That's the only one they're going to buy. I want Canadian Hunter. So the girl behind the counter gets it. They buy it. You say, well, that stuff's not very reputable. It's about the most ordinary thing in the world. I know. But they like it. It's not offensive. I'm not going to say it's offensive. Nothing about it makes you gag or anything. So they buy it. They just get, people get latched onto a brand and they're never going to deviate. And you always see it in the store. Listen to that. Refrigerator. Been doing that for 2 years. Still hasn't broken. And I'm going to let it ride till it breaks. I mean, after all, I'm not going to pay $100 to have a refrigerator repaired, and the refrigerator is worth $100. My father's refrigerator broke, and he buys expensive ones, like really expensive ones. I don't understand that, but he buys them. They don't ever last any longer than the cheaper. But his broke, and he called the man, and that guy said, he told him what it was doing. The repair man said, "Oh yeah, I can fix that. I know what's wrong with it." He said, "What year is that fridge? You bought it when?" He said, "Well, let me put it to you like this. I can repair it, but it's going to cost more for me to repair it than the thing is." He said, "But I'll do it. It's up to you. I'll come over there and fix it." He said, "But if it was me, I would just take it and roll it out to the street and go buy a new one." And my father said, "Thank you." Now the man could have come over there and fixed it, and I told him that. And he took it, got the dolly because he got a hand truck. My father took the dolly, brought it to the street, went and bought a new one. Okay. They both have a vanilla flavor. They both have an obvious grain flavor. Makes sense. They're probably 90% corn, 5% rye, and 5% malted barley. I would think that. Now you say, it's grain spirits. Grain neutral spirit. That's still mostly corn. I mean, you can make grain neutral spirit from anything. But why would they use a more expensive grain like wheat when they got corn everywhere? So they take the corn, they turn it into a clear, odorless, colorless liquid. You say that's vodka. Yeah, it is, but watch it now. Watch out. Grain neutral spirit, if you read the regulations, must, not can be. No, the regulation said it is required. It has to be stored in oak. Vodka can never touch wood. Read the regulation. Look it up, ttb.gov. Type it in that way, TTB, not capital or anything, ttb.gov. It'll be a beverage of alcohol. Vodka can never touch wood. It can never come into contact with wood. It must be stored in stainless steel. The second vodka comes in contact with wood, it becomes whiskey. Now look that up in your Funkin' Wagnalls. Excellent supplemental talk. Thank you, Fitness Frank. Now this is the thing that's got me perplexed. Grain neutral spirits. You can buy it, Everclear. It's barrel proof. It'll kill you. It tells you on the bottle, this is poison. Don't drink it. It's so strong you will go blind and it will kill you. And you hear stories about teenagers drinking the stuff and dying. It's definitely and absolutely not made to drink. It's made to use as a blender and to take it and dilute with water to different proofs. But young people, they don't know any better. They sell Everclear, Jim Clear, that's from McCormick. There's Diesel. Now think about a product called Diesel. You want to drink Diesel? It's called Diesel, and it's from Buffalo Trace. Diesel comes from Buffalo Trace. I know that's a fact. And it's got a big truck on it, 18-wheeler on the label. It's 190 proof. It'll explode if it comes by a flame. It'll blow up like a bomb. But that's not the point I'm making. The point is that it has to be stored in oak wood. Now, you say, well, wait a minute. If you're storing it in wood, the logical conclusion would be that it is what? What's the word? Fill in a blank. Aging in wood. No, correct? So in a sense, it is a whiskey of a very young age. Now, you say, well, what if they just distill it and just immediately blend it with the bourbon and make a blend? Then it's not whiskey. Well, that's true. But if they don't need it, let's say they don't need it till next week. Now they're going to have to put it in an oak vessel, as the government calls it, barrels, which is what it is. You say, but only aged a week. Yeah, I know. You know how long bourbon has to age? Want to take a guess? You want to take a to be aged? Good wood, says Herbie. Yeah, oak. Now, obviously, let's get something straight. Obviously, it's not going to be charred oak. Only a fool would believe that. They're going to use an uncharred barrel. They don't want it to have flavor. The flavor is coming from the straight whiskey in it. Okay. They used to both have a vanilla flavor. Could they have tweaked them with vanilla? Yeah, they could have. What if they used blending sherry? Well, cream sherry, if you ever drink a cream sherry, it tastes kind of vanilla-ish. It makes you wonder. Well, these taste 99% alike. But there's that 1% difference, and this one has more oak. That one has a little bit more oak, which is making me think it is the Bankers Club. Because we know it's aged 3 years in oak, the straight whiskey. The neutral spirits might be aged 3 days in oak, or 3 seconds in oak, or not at all. Most likely not at all, but could be. All right. You say, oh, you're just talking a bunch of theoretics. I know, but with this whiskey thing, it is in beer and all, it is a lot of theoretics. Oh, I feel so bad. Heaven Hill, you did it again. You got me again. That's the Kentucky Gold. Yikes. So that puts me at 5-4. 5 wins, 4 losses out of 9. That's not so good. But then, well, what did I just say at the beginning? They like the same thing. And they're all like that. So the main point of all of this is that should you pay extra money for American blended whiskey? I don't believe you should, but do what you want. It's up to you. It's your money. But if you're that dedicated to your brand, do a blind taste test, do a whole series, and you might be shocked. And you might be sorry that you've been paying so much for stuff. You say, what about bourbon? Well, since we have this bourbon cult following these days, not a culture, not bourbon culture, a bourbon cult following, like I said, a religion. You definitely I think you definitely want to do blind taste tests, but it might cause so much cognitive dissonance that you might have a nervous breakdown after you spend all that money. So maybe it might be better to live in that world of perception instead of world of reality. Yeah, don't do it. Never mind. Don't do that. Like I say, you don't want to develop a psych. All right, enough of that. All right, anyway, well, thanks for watching, or I should say thanks for tolerating it. But these products do exist. They're on the shelf. I've had people ask me in the past, why do you even do it? I said, they exist. Okay, y'all take care now. Bye-bye.